through time, the relationship with the community of Orick has been stressed. When the National Park Service has taken or been perceived to have taken actions that are contrary to the interests of individuals or in some people's eyes, maybe the interests of the community.
A lot of the people that live here really love this area, and we see both sides of the issue.
Yeah.
But
and while we happen to agree 100% with what the Park Service is doing, we can still see what they're saying as well. So.
It's kind of hard on us to have all these people against us here. It's not the funnest place to live right now.
50% off. It's your choice to catch one of these delightful performances.
Taxpayers and honest people. And to be treated like a bunch of dogs, not right.
Sing a song of Orick, where we live. Let's sing about what Orick really is. Let's sing about the redwood trees that grow. Let's sing about the river that we know. The salmon run each year up Redwood Creek. The elk live together in the park. I love to fish for salmon in the creek. I love to hike and play up in the park. 'Cause I live in Orick, California. I live in Orick by the sea. I'm glad that I live right here in Orick. I'm happy and there's no place I'd rather be. So if we sing a song that makes us happy, and if we really sing and sing it loud, we may find that things begin to happen. We may find that we are feeling proud. Proud of the home we have and proud of the friends we know. And glad that we all are here and sad when we have to go. 'Cause we live in Orick, California. We live in Orick, California.
Let me get out of the camera. All right.
Very good, Verna.
Way to go, Verna.
Very nice.
That's beautiful, sweetheart.
So what's that song about, basically?
It's about the beauty of Orick.
This song just for you. This is what you're doing tonight, okay?
All right.
They're gonna put me in the movie. They're gonna take a big star out of me. They'll make a film about a man that's sad and lonely. All I gotta do is like country.
What do you like about living here in Orick?
Well, I mean, when you wake up in the morning, I mean, there's no prettier place you can wake up to. I mean, you look around, the fog's in, you're in the middle of a green area. It's beautiful.
It's just a neat little town. It's just it's small town America.
What are some visitors' impressions of the town?
Well, they kind of, in a sense, almost like it's a little grungy town, but there's nice people here.
I've met a lot of good people in Orick. I've also met some messed up people, but as far as the capital goes, go to a bigger city and you can't find a handful of people like you find here, just that quick.
I'm a commercial fisherman. I've done it for my whole life. I support my family, and this is where I was born, and this is where I'm gonna stay. There's a river that runs through this town, and I love this place, and I will never leave, and this is the shit.
I came here 8 years ago to this town, and I can't find myself to leave. I love the people, I love the area, I love the scenery, and it just is sad. It's sad. We're not gonna have nothing left.
At one time, Orick was a big community, and the park came in, bought up all the land, and the idea was that, well, okay, there's going to be a loss of jobs in timber, but some of that will be replaced with tourism jobs. And the fact is, if you drive up to Orick today, that just never happened.
When I got married, it seemed like the logging was going full bore, and the logging trucks going down the road, it was just booming. But then the big shots came, Nixon and Reagan and Lady Bird Johnson, and they started admiring it, and then they made a park, see? And then logging started slowing down. And now it's all borough people.
How important is burl art to Orick?
Oh, it's very important. It's the main thing that keeps this town moving. We've got one restaurant in town now, 2 small motels, and 2 gas stations. That's it, other than the burl shops.
How many are there?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 to 12. It's the main business of this little town.
I consciously, when I drive through Orick, look for the beauty in that town, and it's there, but it is hard to see. I mean, how many burl shops does a town need? A burl shop can be seen as part of Americana. It's part of what, Orick is, but how many of those make Orick? I'll tell you, people come to us, tourists, and they're afraid to get out of their cars in Orick. And I think that's part of just the visual that you see through there.
What does it mean to you to own this business?
Well, it's independence. I've got my own place, my own little niche in the world, I guess. And it's something that I can leave my kid and his kids. If we don't get choked out of it by the idiots of this world. But that's the reason why I'm on the list of fighting for it, to keep this stuff open. Because it doesn't make any sense to close our country down.
What does it mean, Ed, to you to be an American?
To me, I believe in my Constitution. I believe in my voting rights. I believe in the freedom of speech, the freedom to go where I want to go, and with not having a police state. It's personal freedoms. That's the whole basis of the American system. And those things we're losing, and to me, the battle is worthwhile for those to preserve those rights.
What time is it really? 25. Well, just go to jail.
It's not.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and lock it up when I get here.
Yeah, you lock it up. I'm going to go down there.
Ed, you want me to sit there and keep the bar open while you're down there?
No, that's all right. I prefer
I'd be happy to.
No, make sure that he's the first one out.
Yeah.
Not the last one out.
Well, you can lock me in. I'll be all right.
We want some stock here when we get
I'll have
back.
this place tidied up before you get back. There'll be room to put beer in the cooler.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you guys down here.
Okay.
These poor people have been run over. But a lot of the people, they're afraid of authority. I mean, a guy has a badge and, he can do no wrong. I happen to be the type of person that's, show me where your authority comes from. Yeah, that one's going to be right.
That'll work.
One of the issues is the freshwater spit, camping on freshwater spit. And you'll go out there in the summer and you'll see just a line of RVs. And I can understand people are concerned about that because, it's a beautiful spot and it's not always the most attractive thing to see all these beat out old RVs lined up there.
As you come up Highway 101 from the south and you enter the south boundary of Redwood National and State Parks, you have basically what amounts to an aluminum wall that lines that 1.5 mile stretch of ocean vista.
The proposal is to get rid of those RVs and to not allow free overnight camping on that beach.
Yeah, it's a fairly controversial issue, particularly with some residents in Orick.
What's this about?
Well, the park's trying to close the beaches down. If it closes this down, then the little town of Orick dies. And I don't think that's right.
This spit here has a lot of people that have been coming here for many, many years, and they spend a lot of money in our town.
Well, think about it. There must be 250 motorhomes here. It's a lot of people.
If they take away the campers, it's like, well, there goes my dinner and stuff. It's like, because my mom and my stepdad own a grill shop here, and it's like, what the heck? It's like, we're not going to get any, business, and it's just taking money away from us, and what are we going to do in the winter? They're drowning us out. They're trying to get us out of Orick because it's all park, and they just want it back, and it's like, they can't do that. It's just wrong. We live here. There's so many memories here, and we live here, I can't let them take this away.
Yeah, I do.
It's just...
It sucks, let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can fish. When people get vacations and people want to have a good time, they're not going to be able to do this no more. And that is, that ain't right. Yes, yeah, and that's the reason why we're out here, to support people who come here on vacation, and kids, especially kids, and, have a good time. Yeah. Now, yeah.
They might as well take a wrecking ball and flatten Orick if they continue doing this. It's in the making. It's going to be a ghost town within 3 years if they continue pulling this stuff that they're pulling now.
Hey, what kind of lies you telling us today? Woo!
What happens when you guys close this beach down and we still pay our taxes? You guys still have your same job doing nothing.
And where does all these campers
What are you guys gonna do when there's nobody here to get
Where's the new
campground
campground that you're opening up to replace this one?
You seriously, you look at the people around you, okay? We live here.
Can I ask him some questions? Would you like to answer some questions in front of the? I'll ask you some specific questions.
I'm just here.
Right, I understand, but evidently you're the one that's representing the park at this particular moment.
You don't like the heat, get out of the kitchen.
You may take yourself with the superintendent.
No, I don't talk to the superintendent. We tried to talk to him for 3 years. For 3 years, we tried to talk to him. We tried to put public input. He wouldn't listen to us. This is public input. I guarantee this is public input.
We have to go because the parks will not listen to us. They want to do whatever they feel they want to do.
Again, folks, you know as well as I do that there has been public input.
We've been putting input all the way, and we have been ignored.
So you're going to have to take that up with the superintendent.
Tell him to come on down. We'll talk to him.
Every few years, we get a new superintendent of the national park, and employees change constantly here at Redwood National Park. So, who do we say has this philosophy to ruin our town? Which one of those individuals is doing that?
All the park rangers, they're not from around here. They don't live around here, or they get moved here, stationed here. Then they make up all these rules. Then they move back to where they live. And it's like, hey, you came here and tore up our fun and environment, our way of life.
We get this new guy in here. He's in here trying to make a name for himself. That that he's something great. He's going to come in and close down the world and say he's a great man for taking away everybody's privileges. That's the only thing I can see.
Who is that man you're talking about?
Andy Ringgold.
My primary responsibility is to carry out the mission of the National Park Service and the purpose of these parks established by Congress. And that's, in general terms, to preserve the resources and values that exist here and to provide appropriate opportunities for public enjoyment. We're here for only a relatively short period of time, both from the standpoint of our duty in parks and in our lives. But the parks are a long-term proposition, and I think as an employee of the National Park Service, my role and the role of the people who work in parks is to make a difference.
You think you're going to win this battle?
I don't know. Might be too little, too late. That's what I think. Give it a try. That's all we can do. That's all anybody can do. Give it a try.
Does it matter to you particularly what the people at Orick have to say?
Well, I mean, again, personally, it matters a lot. But you know, we have park policies, and this is not something new. Again, it's been going through a 4-year planning process. And this is the result of a decision and document that has come out that some folks disagree with.
May I ask you a question, sir? Okay, everything's been going fine so far, right? And we have had no problem whatsoever with the beaches. Why do you want to change it now?
It's a planning process that's been going on.
What plan?
The general management plan.
This is actually one half of the Redwood National Park draft plan, and that has all sorts of consequences for Orick. For instance, there are people in Orick who go out to the beach and they fish, and I guess they catch these fish and sell them to zoos to feed seals and stuff. And they drive their pickups down on the beach and they get in the surf and they catch these fish. And Redwood National Park actually is phasing them out, and I think that's just horrible.
You need to tell them parkies to grease that gate. Good job, buddy. You seen the seagulls in big flocks, and then we got the pelicans, the big the dive bombers. You know, the big 8-foot wingspan, the big ones. You know, a lot of times when we're looking for day fish, you'll see them dive bombing, boom, boom. You know, there's just a big old school of fish out there, and you know, sometimes they just piddle in a little bit, but sometimes you can watch that school come from half a mile out to right here, and then all of a sudden, boom, they just start rolling in the waves, and that's whenever you get down there and start filling your truck.
How important is fishing to Gene?
Very important. This isn't one and only thing he's done. He's done it since he was in high school. There were times he'd night fish at night and go to school the next morning and deliver fish before school. I've heard stories, he'd go to school with his waders, he'd still be stinking like fish when he goes to his classes.
I like everything about this job. The thing that I probably like about it is the rush I get out of it, It's like doing this, sometimes I'll drive up and down these beaches for 3 or 4 days and not find anything, and everybody gives up on them and thinks that they're not going to run for another week, and then all of a sudden I finally run into them, I get an hour at them, and it's just like, I'm just all pumped up, all right, I'm going to rip them, just fill my truck. It's just an adrenaline rush. I look forward to it, when I wake up in the middle of the night, like night fishing, I'm not like going, oh no, I gotta go to work. It's like, all right, man, I'm gonna go rip some fish, type deal.
I think we live pretty good real good actually, for surfish. He makes a darn good living at it, and I'm real proud of him. And he's raised a good family with it too.
I understand people's gut relations with what they are and who they are and what they do. I am what you see here. I am a park ranger, and I always will be, and I feel like I'm the luckiest person on the planet to have found my calling. And if fishermen feel the same way, I understand that too. Now, what's the most important part of that? Is it being a fisherman here in Orick, or could I be a fisherman in Alaska? You know, is it fishing or fishing here in Orick? And I think those are two kind of different things, or maybe they're not. Maybe that's the problem. It's fishing here in Orick, and that's going to come to an end. I guess the feeling that a fisherman would have is that I'm the last one, and it's not going to go on. And yes, that's right.
I felt that some of the actions by the park administration, particularly when it came to phasing out beach fishermen, was really mean-spirited. And I can't even conceive of how a couple guys in pickups fishing on the beach and making a living could possibly be damaging in any way to the park environment.
The decision isn't focused on fishing. The decision is focused on off-road vehicle use, okay? And it's not a decision to phase out commercial fishing, all right? It's a decision to phase out off-road vehicle use.
The problem is, and the fishermen will bring this up, and they're right, you can't do one without the other. So in effect, by not allowing vehicles on the beach, we are regulating commercial fishing, unless you could figure a way to catch fish and bring them off the beach without driving out there.
We're not supposed to have any motorized vehicles going on the beach, so that just pretty much wipes out our whole traditional fishing.
Yeah, it's like, you know, taking your camera away, your microphone, taking a hammer away from a carpenter, taking a pencil away from a park ranger, or a chair.
Yeah.
How are they gonna work?
You know, we did show in that decision some measure of sensitivity to the local situation in Orick. One of the alternatives that was laid out in the draft plan was basically shut down all off-road vehicle use there. Well, that would have had a significant adverse impact on 50 or so commercial fishermen that have that require vehicle access to the beach to pursue surf fishing.
The policy that came out of our general plan was that those people that are commercial fishing will continue to do that. However, we just will not issue new permits. So in other words, it will phase out as commercial fishermen can no longer fish because they're too old to fish.
If really I had my right to my freedom of choice of life, I would be a fisherman. I would go from door to door selling fish and make a living, a good living too. And I would sell my catch to you. I'd sell them to your children. I wouldn't go to a grocery market. I would say, here's the fish live, you know, buy this. This is the real thing. But when that gets stripped from you, what do? You know, where do you go? The government took away my heart. I mean, they actually drove it out. You know, I mean, it's sad when that has to happen, but when they work against you, you're dead. That's why if the government's working to control Orick, it's dead. They're gonna be proven wrong of what they're doing to the people here. And then I'll get my reward by the people standing up and fighting right along. And they're doing it today, more so today than they've ever done it, thanks to some of the leaders we have that are trying to fight this bureaucracy.
Anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming. I guess everybody knows what this is all about. We got to raise funds, and we're going to fight them, and I think we're going to beat them, and we're going to get our beaches back. All right.
Why are you guys here today? Save the beach. With the damn park. The damn park people are taking it away from us.
This is a real good cause, and you can tell by the turnout. Everybody is coming together, and that's what it's going to take. We got to start somewhere. Today, you can see, is an excellent crowd to start. and there's going to be more to follow down the road. Who knows how long it will go. But Ed's got the heart that he's not going to give it up.
Not bad for just a couple of people that are, raising heck about the beach, huh? I mean, this looks like it's pretty good support. Tell Ringo that, this is the few people that are having problems with what the park is doing.
Do you think this event will help?
Well, it makes everybody feel better.
I think you can sit and gripe at home and get nothing accomplished, but if you come out in groups, I think that maybe somebody will look and say, hey, there's somebody that cares. People can gripe at home. That's easy.
When you say it just makes people feel better, are you saying that it's just a temporary...
No, you can't buck the federal government.
So ultimately, you don't think that it's a battle that can be won?
Oh, it's already been lost 20 years ago.
How's this going to help?
How's this going to help? We're going to get a lawyer and sue him.
My name is Don Amador. I'm the Western representative for the Blue Ribbon Coalition. We're a national recreation organization that fights for public access to public lands. And we're here tonight at the request of the residents of Orick. A lot of people feel that the Park Service has gone just a little bit too far in some of these closures, not only here in California, but throughout the West.
Back then I was just a kid, but something struck me as a little bit strange when this whole park thing came about. I thought to myself, this really isn't going to bode well for the community in the long run, but I was young, I didn't know anything. I still may not know anything, but we didn't really start fighting back in those days because we thought, well, the government knows best, they want to take care of us, maybe they have our best interest in mind. Did you get this speed up?
We won.
Okay, so let's see. We just started, it's just about an 8-minute tape here, so. Yeah.
Big Park.
But is this your land? Your hallowed ground on which I stand? I sure hate to break the news to you, but your national park is coming through.
They want this valley. They want to turn the ranches around here. They'd like to see that as elk prairie and us just go away.
They want this whole country, and I don't want to bring up the thing of being Indian and stuff, but it's working the same way as it did years ago. They keep coming and taking this and taking that. What are you going to do? You can't fight it.
What it's getting like is like in the English days when you kill one of the king's deer. Pretty soon it's all going to be all the governments, and we ain't going to have nothing. I think their final goal is to have us walk around and do whatever they want us to do. It all goes together. They don't want you to enjoy life and learn things.
The ultimate, they're going to take control. They're going to dissolve us. They'll push us out one by one. They are doing it now. If they can't buy you out, and you're a prominent owner of land, and they can't give you enough money for it, they'll figure out a way to condemn it. They'll figure out a way to take it another way, either by an environmental issue, or a tool, environmental tool, or by a bureaucracy.
Because they've already flattened houses, tracts of houses. So people don't have a place to live, so they have to go somewhere else to live.
But we've also declined numerous opportunities where people have come to us wanting to sell their land in the Orick area. And so if we were on a headlong rush to just gobble up like Pac-Man the community of Orick, we wouldn't be making those decisions. I have no interest in buying up the community of Orick or seeing it go away. I'd like it to be a vibrant gateway community and to be to complement the park and have the park complement the community.
But with no adequate housing here and families are having to move out of town, we're just slowly dwindling down to nothing, you know, and it's just like losing a piece of your family, you know, so thank God we got our friends though, huh?
Yep.
Sometimes these small communities are a nice place to raise your children, but not necessarily a nice place to make a living. They may have to leave Orick, even though it's a beautiful area that the family's lived in for a long time. But sometimes things happen and we have to move on.
Is it worth fighting for? I mean, are we, because I mean, if we're not all together fighting for it, and then we might as well just forget it and just, accept what they give us. But if we want to fight for it, I'm willing to stay there, and I'm sure a lot of the other people are.
I know a lot of people that are willing to donate money to start the fight, so I think we should go on with it.
In your case, one of the best things you can do is start organizing, just start raising as much money as you can for wherever it goes, us or someone else, to do this fight. In the end, you need to start thinking about becoming organized and start a bank account.
How do you fight a federal institution without money? They knew that. They have identified every one of us here of who does and who doesn't have money. And they go after the people who don't have the money to fight them. They take away their resources. How do you come back?
I've asked around town here, nobody wants to fight the federal government. Right. That's the biggest thing. They don't want to fight the federal government. At least these people are willing to fight the federal government because that's what the organization is all about. It's trying to keep keep public land and for public use. Because they're going to take this town. The park wants this town, and they're going to keep choking and choking until this town disappears. So it comes down to it. Is it worth fighting for, or should we just pack our gear and just head out of town?
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of us in World War II fought to save this country, and a lot of boys didn't come back, and this right now isn't what they fought for.
No, exactly. This isn't the country I know. I guarantee it's not. And I resent that with all my heart.
There's no doubt about it that the establishment of Redwood National Park in 1968 brought about change, and there are benefits to that. The bottom line has to be whether individuals, families, groups, or the community can adjust to change.
I'll bet you could do documentaries like this throughout this country and you'd come across the same issues of towns changing from, we were a coal mining town all our life, we're salt of the earth people, and we don't want to change. No more coal. What are you going to do?
Change on a community basis is made up of all different types of changes on individual basis. And I think what happens to individuals depends largely on their abilities, their interests, the constraints that apply to them as individuals, and I guess I can't crystal ball what will happen with individuals there.
Right now, we're kind of confronted by a lot of pressures. The government is one heck of a pressure upon its people, and as all pressure, things break, and the government will break itself by the pressure it puts on its people. They can't take it.
You take a bear and you run him into the woods up against the brush, and then he gets trapped. He's not going to keep running. He can't. He'll turn and he'll fight. That's how people are. If you force them up against a wall, then they have to turn and fight. And that's kind of where the community is going now, is we're getting forced up against the wall to where we've tried talking to politicians, we've tried talking to the news media, we've tried sending letters, we've tried petitions, we've tried surveys. The park all said that was invalid information, and so we're back to square one.
There's going to be skirmishes, whether it's to death, who knows? But I know that there'll be skirmishes along the front. And if these people are willing, some of them are willing to fall down right now and say, take over. Others are willing to stand up and fight and say, take me to jail if you want me. Come get me, because I'm not going to go out without a fight.
So now what happened here this morning?
Well, our maintenance crew showed up about 8:30 this morning to start their work on putting in the boulders and the gates. A gentleman from Orick, I believe, that was here, and he had his pickup truck blocking the access. We had some problems yesterday, so we didn't have law enforcement here, and they asked him to leave. There were about 25 folks here. They asked him to move his vehicle, and he refused, so he was arrested.
There was an arrest?
Yes, sir.
What did he get arrested for?
It's for interfering with agency function and failure to obey a lawful order.
Ed Salcedo got arrested, so he can go and get this thing into court to try and stop closing off our beaches.
Did he want to get arrested?
Yes. He knew well in advance that he would be. And you're with?
Independent.
Okay.
Monday they were trying to put the gates up on Hidden Beach, and we stopped them. There was several of us that turned them back. On Tuesday we were there again to stop them. They decided they were going to put this particular gate in that day. When I heard that, I came down the beach and parked in front of the backhoe, and from there that's where it went. But we had intentions of stopping them, again protecting our property rights. What irritates me the most and hurts me the most is I'm being characterized as a terrorist, and that's a long ways from the truth. And I don't like to be depicted that way.
Any people in town you consider terrorists against the park?
Terrorists? No, I don't. We've had, in the last 3 or 4 years and recently, we've had some incidents that go well beyond vandalism that are, depending on your definition of terrorist activity. We've had bombs go off. We've had bombs fail to go off.
Who knows where those came from? I don't know. You can assume that they came from here or there or whatever. Where they, I can't comment on that. I don't believe we have terrorists in Orick. But if people are playing with bombs in our parks, then I would call them terrorists. And if they're from Orick, yes, we do.
How does it make you feel to see the gate here right now?
It makes me sick. I tell you what, I come down once a day and I take a look at these, and my stomach churns. It really does. And it's locking all of us out. Not just me, it's locking everybody in this United States. It's locking them out. And this is our property. We have the right to use it.
You're watching News Channel 3, the spirit of the North Coast.
The ongoing fight over beach access rights in Orick continuing today with a freedom rally aimed at gathering support for the local community. Good evening, I'm Katie Marzullo.
And I'm Dan Schutte. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday night. Topping your news, several months ago, the Redwood National Park Service closed the gates at Freshwater Spit, limiting vehicle access to the beach. People in Orick say the closures are putting them out of business because the town relies heavily on tourism and camping at that beach. Today's rally was a plea to the Bush administration to reopen the gates and in turn save the town of Orick.
Good.
This rally here is really to not only provide a forum for all these people to come together, but it also to raise the profile of this issue to where maybe the Bush administration will see, maybe several thousand people gathered here. It's not just a town of 300 asking for some relief, but there's people from all over the country asking him to look into this issue.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land is made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land is made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land is made for you and me. This land is made for you and me.
We'd like to end this with everybody joining together and having a little walk. And we're going to take a walk up here on the dike and kind of line up and show our support of this activity today. So if you folks would like to follow me and Ed, we're headed out on a flag brigade.
I'm a little nervous.
Stay covered.
You gotta get about 2 inches from the mic.
Sing, sing a song of Orick, where we live. Let's sing about what Orick really is. Let's sing about the redwood trees that grow. Let's sing about the river that we know. The redwood trees are blowing in the wind. The river runs by the school. I love to see the redwoods in the wind. I love to sit and watch the river flow. 'Cause I live in Orick, California. I live in Orick by the sea. I live in Orick, California. I live in Orick by the sea. The salmon run each year up Redwood Creek. The elk live together in the park. I love to fish for salmon in the creek. I love to hike and play up in the park. 'Cause I live in Orick, California. I live in Orick by the sea. I live in Orick, California. I live in Orick by the sea. People come to visit us in Orick. They come just for the fishing and the trees. But they can never stay and really be here, for they're on a trip and so they leave. But I live in Orick, California. I live in Orick by the sea. I'm glad that I live right here in Orick. I'm happy and no place I'd rather be. So if we sing a song that makes us happy, and if we really sing and sing it loud, we may find that things begin to happen. We may find that we are feeling proud. Proud of the home we have and proud of the friends we know. And glad that we all are here and sad when we have to go. So sing all together now for Orick. Sing and let your hearts begin to shine, 'cause life flows along just like a river. Life is for all of us to find, 'cause we live in Orick, California. We live in Orick, California. We live in Orick by the sea.